fielder who's actually making his debut for the New York Red Bulls, Pelsufajovic, and they just pushed each other with two arms. It was off the ball, and for me it was handbags, and I thought it was a little bit harsh to give them both 3 games. The ref definitely took his time over. He took 2 or 3 minutes to make the call, but Forbes, a very important player for the Rochester Rhinos.
We are underway here in Toronto, and saying hello to all the folks in Rochester who have us tuned in tonight on WBGT Channel 18 in New York. Thank you for spending your Saturday evening with us. Rochester pressing early, and Cavalluzzo is there to snare it. Cavalluzzo making his 5th consecutive start and his 3rd in the last 8 days. Choppy play along the far sidelines results in a throw for Toronto. Last time Rochester was here was back on the home opener for TFC2, and while it's a little chilly right now, Terry, compared to the weather we've had the last couple of years, or the last couple of weeks, I should say, it was downright miserable that night. 3 degrees Celsius, 37 Fahrenheit, and very windy. We were all bundled up, I remember it. Quite clearly not a fun night for football, and they played to a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, it was a good game. It was a good battle. Not the sexiest game of football, and then in the next game in Rochester, TFC2 lost 2-0. An early red card to Oncone after 26 minutes and a Julian Dunn on goal, so it wasn't the best of nights for TFC2.
They'll be looking up to even the season series. Teams split the 3 meetings last year, a win apiece and a draw.
Aubrey continuing where he left off in the last game. Good step out of the back 3 there to win the ball.
Telford trying to play it up along the sideline, but it's picked off there by Joseph Farrell. And there's wall fault. Central midfielder, Jalen Brown. Sergio Campbell. It's Ryan Felix. Lost forward. Looking for Groff, but over his head and out for a Cavalluzzo goal kick. It's a stingy Rochester defense, Terry. 22 goals conceded in 23 matches, the 2nd fewest total in the USL. They also tied for 2nd with 10 clean sheets on the season. And of course, 2 of those 10 coming against this Toronto side.
Yeah, I think a big part of that is the player that just made that header fall, who just sits in front of the back 4. Does a very good job screening them, protecting them, reads the game extremely well, covers a ton of ground. And he's the player that'll just set off the attacks for the Rochester Rhinos.
It's Malik Johnson trying to play long for Hundle. Foot race there with Campbell, and it will be Gomez who is out and boots it out to touch. Icam Andrews making his return to the team tonight. Malik Johnson. Sends wide cross to the right for Alseth. Came on as a substitute on Wednesday evening. There's Aiden Daniels. Brian James leads the team in minutes played, and he's wearing the captain's armband for the 2nd consecutive night as he replaces Mitch Tainter.
Yeah, both Mitch Tainter and Liam Fraser are both out with injuries, which means Aubrey and Brian James come into the side. I thought Brian James sat in front of the back 3, did an excellent job in the last game. He's got a wonderful range of passing. Not the strongest in the tackle, but what makes him so good is his ability to read the game. He's always 1 or 2 steps ahead of players. Was very good against St. Louis in the 1-1 draw on Wednesday night.
Bent without Fraser and Tainter, as Terry mentioned, but a couple of injured players returning to availability. Sergio Camargo, we haven't seen him since August 5th. Luca Uccello out since scoring the winning goal against Ottawa on July 8th. And Lars Eckenrode, who broke his leg on April 1st in the loss to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, I remember that one. A bit of an innocuous one. It was off a corner kick. Just off of the ball, just went over on his ankle. It was a real sore one.
Crossed in, looking for Groff. They come together, and a goal kick is awarded.
Lee, who's come in for Camden on the left-hand side. A couple of early crosses in the game for him. Looks very dangerous down the left-hand side. His partnership with Brown looks excellent. Onconi does just enough to put Graff off there.
Takes a deflection off the head of Brandon Aubrey. Headed forward, Forbes for Boucher. Pass intercepted by Telfort. Johnson stripped. Groff for Forbes. Forbes looking to shoot. Finally does, and it's blocked by Onconi. There's Ryan James. Always fun when we see Toronto and Rochester and have Ryan James matched up against Brian James. Always a fun time for us.
James, he's born in Mississauga, real versatile player. He plays all over the pitch. We've seen him play a little bit higher up. We've seen him play underneath. He actually came in and trained with TFC last year and was possibly looking for a contract. TFC decided not to sign him. He's had a very good season again this year. 22 starts in total on the season. Only missed the one game.
Here is James now, back for Joseph Farrell. Sergio Campbell, lost forward. And it'll be Brandon Aubrey to close off and send it out. Thrown in quickly. It's Aiden Daniels. Dunn pushes forward, not able to connect with Andrews. Daniels again.
Forbes has had a real bright start. I think that's a foul there. Just pushes Aiden Daniels off the ball. After being suspended for 3 games, you can tell with Wall behind him, he's given the license to get forward and almost just hunt the ball, go and make things happen. The Jamaican international has 2 caps. It's important that Brian James has an eye on him at all times as the defensive midfielder for Toronto FC.
Johnson.
It's a slight change of system, what we're used to seeing from Rochester. Normally they play a 4-1-4-1 system. It looks like they're playing with a back 3 today. Possibly trying to match up to TFC's 3-5-2 system.
Telfer. Hundle, who had the equalizing goal late on Wednesday night in stoppage time, his 2nd of the season, helping lift Toronto to that 1-1 draw.
Yeah, came off the bench and really made an impression, and possibly with Jordan Hamilton getting a little bit of a rest and Ben Spencer, Hundle comes in for the start today. Didn't even think about his finish. A little bit of a loose touch from Jordan Hamilton into the box, but Hundle was alive straight onto it, and the left foot just ripped it into the top of the net.
James. Boucher. Back again from Forbes. Carrying along sideline, and it's poked out by Onconi.
Boucher does well there to drive his team up the park. He's on loan from DC United. He's made in total 27 appearances for DC, born in Germany. He actually played for Chris Pozniak, TFC2's assistant coach for KW United.
That's a shot off the bar, and it's put in on the rebound. It's Jalen Brown, denied by the post on the first attempt, and unmarked as he picked up the redirection. And in the 10th minute, Rochester are on the board.
Brown comes all the way over from the left-hand side, makes a great near-post run. His run isn't tracked at all. But we spoke about the local boy from Mississauga, James. He's involved here. It's way too easy from TFC2. They're not set up for the throw. Telfer has to do a better job to stop this cross, and watch this near post run from Brown. Gets ahead of Aubrey. Aubrey almost gives up on the rebound, gives Cavalluzzo no chance, and Brown just sticks it away.
Toronto countering quickly. Malik Johnson sends that just wide. Toronto with a good push after allowing the opening goal.
Great reaction from conceding with Malik Johnson in the side. TFC2 are very good in transition, very quick. I thought the Rochester Rhinos did a very good job of just delaying, allowing them shoot from distance, just cuts across it, misses to the right-hand side. Just drags his shot a little bit, Matt.
For Jalen Brown, that's his first goal this season for Rochester. And for the third consecutive game, Toronto will have to work from behind. And we highlighted last game, they were just 1-12 when allowing the first goal. Now 1-12-1 after that late draw against St. Louis. Rochester's looking for more. That shot is blocked. Another strike right at Cavalluzzo.
Nice strike there from
Boucher.
I think TFC2 are just struggling to get to grips with the 3-5-2 system of the Rochester Rhinos. They've not seen it very often, the young Reds, throughout the season. Wide players. James and Lee causing all sorts of problems.
Alseth pushes forward for Hundle. And they will award it to Rochester.
Fall doing an excellent job there, back tackling the defensive midfielder. Big fan of his. I think he's one of the best midfielders in the MLS. Just 24 years of age. He's got a real bright future. In 19 starts from defensive midfield role, a couple are penalties. He's got 8 goals. Before coming over to North America, he bounced around the lower leagues of Germany before signing for Rochester in 2016. He's got a wonderful profile for that defensive midfield role.
Miscommunication there for Toronto is on Coney and Telfer. Couldn't quite decide who was going to go after the ball, and it allowed Rochester to regain control. Now Forbes crossed in, and Groff sends it wide. Deflection off Toronto, out for a corner.
A little bit slow on the counterattack there, TFC2. In the end, Aubrey does well to bail his side out. Important header, just gets ahead of Graff. Impressive away from home, 1-0 up. The amount of bodies Rochester Rhino are committing into the box. There was 4 bodies in the box.
And cleared by Dunn. Back for Boucher. Hammered forward, looking for Groff near the back post. Falls favorably for Rochester. Looking to find Forbes. And Telfer will angle him out and allow it to roll for a goal kick. Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XMFC Channel 85. Also, don't forget, they'll air the USL Game of the Week. Check uslsoccer.com for dates and times.
Great header from Telfer. Just going back to Boucher, attacking midfielder for Rochester Rhinos, number 27. Another player born in Germany, but he actually played for Chris Pozniak while going to Syracuse University for KW United in the PDL League. And he scored a free kick in the semifinals to actually put them through to the final. And KW went on in 2015 to win the PDL championships. Talking to Chris Pozniak, he said it was a wonder free kick.
Telfer trying to get around Ryan James. Crosses in, a little bit too heavy, and it's gone out behind the goal.
You can see Rochester have done their homework on Telfer a little bit. Telfer 1v1, he's so dangerous. He can beat fullbacks to either side. James does just enough, but you can see Farrell, number 15, just coming over for that double team, and in the end, Telfer can't quite dig out that cross.
Plays short for James. Farrell.
Good movement from Forbes, just drags Onconi out the left side of the back three, creating a pocket for Boucher to get on it in the middle of the park. For me, Onconi's just got to let him go out wide, keep Telfer connected. It wasn't on for Telfer to go press, but if Onconi comes out wide, Boucher's open and acres in the middle of the park to turn. Unfortunately, his touch just lets him down.
Quarter of an hour played here in Toronto. Rochester on a 10th-minute goal from Jalen Brown have the 1-0 advantage.
That's better from Brian James, just sliding over. He's dealing with the threat of Boucher. Rochester doing a very good job in the middle of the park, just interchanging positions. And it's important that Brian James, he doesn't try to put out all the fires by himself. At some point, Matt, it's important that you communicate, and maybe it's not his strength, but he needs to be a real leader in there. Drag Malik Johnson back, Aiden Daniels to give him a hand.
Good defending there from Telfer to keep it away from Forbes. Groff. Boucher. A little bit of a slip, allows Toronto to take over. Quickly given away by Andrews, who was trying to find Hundle, but not able to get the ball through the Rochester defense.
Yeah, good spot, Matt. Hundle bent his run perfectly. Andrews just tries to be a little bit too accurate with his pass. He just needs to put it into the channel, allow the willing runner Hundle to run onto it. Just before that, it was a good step from Brian James to break up the play. Takes it off of Boucher in the middle of the park.
Forbes with some space, pushes forward. Thought about having to go. Now sends back for Fall. Wide left for Ryan Lee. And it's out for a corner.
Such a good 1v1 defender. We're talking about in the St. Louis game. Allseth coming back from a laceration on his foot with the first team. He's played a couple of games with TFC in the MLS. He came back for maybe 15 minutes against St. Louis on Wednesday. Looked very good. There again, we see his one-on-one defending. Excellent top drawer from him.
Boucher on the set piece. Comes down to Forbes. Forbes still with it. Can't get around Andrews, and well defended by Telfer and James.
Honest play
out
from
for another
Forbes.
corner.
Honest play from Forbes. It's too easy from Andrews. Forbes stronger in the tackle. Goes past, I think it was possibly Onconi, but Andrews trying to make up for his mistake. Just leaves his thigh in a little bit. Forbes could have gone over. Honest play from him, wins a corner.
Boucher from the near side now. Goes up, it's loose. Cavalluzzo is down, but it's cleared by Malik Johnson. But Boucher races back into the action to win it back for the Rhinos. Headed away by Allseth. And Toronto really back on his heels right now.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of TFC trying to play out of the back. Toronto's trying to play their way up the pitch, and the team through the summer have done an excellent job moving that ball. But I think Rochester doing an excellent job in this 3-5-2 system, especially their wide players pressing extremely high. When it's not working to play out of the back, possibly it might be a good idea just to mix it up a bit, put a few balls in behind. At the moment, the back three of Rochester haven't been tested at all.
Groff and Forbes unable to link up. Gives the ball back to Toronto.
Groff will want that one back. Was in an excellent spot. Just a little bit careless with his pass. Good movement from Forbes again.
And right now, that's about all Toronto's able to do. Just launch at the length of the pitch and force Rochester to regroup from deep in their own territory.
it's important now, once that ball's gone in behind, what's happened so far in the first 20 minutes is gone, is that TFC2 really try to get to grips with Forbes in the middle of the park. Boucher, Falls picking up so many second balls. At the moment, Malik Johnson and Aiden Daniels just haven't been able to get into the game.
Campbell plays back for Gomez. Aubrey does well to step forward and win that for Toronto. Johnson.
That's better from Malik Johnson. Holds the ball up, uses his strength. He's so crafty in tight areas. He's so good at rolling players, keeps his team in possession.
Aubrey, done. Toronto just has not looked sharp in their distribution tonight. A lot of misfired passes and passes going to where teammate didn't expect it to be, and they're scrambling to get to the spot where the ball is going to. And we see Icom Andrews down on the pitch, holding the back of his right leg. And
yeah, it looks like it could be a hamstring, Matt. Just come back from injury. If I'm completely honest, he hasn't had the best of starts. This will sometimes happen when you make 5 changes. Also, don't forget, this is the 3rd game in 7 days. But TFC2 looking just a little bit sluggish. Rochester, they didn't have a midweek game.
And it doesn't look like Jason Bent's going to be wasting any time. I believe that was Ricardo John. It looked like he's getting ready to check in if need be.
Another player coming back from injury. He's had a couple of games in the Ontario League, one of the local leagues here in Canada, playing for TFC3, so he should be ready. He's had important match minutes if he is called upon now. But it's a real important game tonight for Toronto FC2. They're still at the bottom of the league on 22 points, but some recent good form, 4 points out of the last 2 games, has given them the opportunity with a win tonight to leapfrog a couple of teams. They can leapfrog Richmond if they don't beat Charlotte today, and also Harrisburg, who don't play, into 13th place, which would be a huge confidence boost to get off to the bottom of the table.
And Ricardo John is indeed, he's got the game kit on, and he's moving towards the table at midfield. He'll be coming on here in the 23rd minute.
Hopefully it'll give TFC2 a bit of a physical presence up top, real strong number 9. He's comfortable leading the line on his own or playing in a 2 with Sean Hundle up there. At the moment, center half Felix, Campbell, and Fall just in front of them have won everything in the air. John's very, very good in the air.
We remember his debut about a year ago at this time in a afternoon game against Montreal. Scored 2 goals in his debut.
A couple of headers, wasn't it?
Exactly. It was a 4-3 loss to Montreal. Ended up with 3 goals in 4 appearances last season. I believe I might have just seen some lightning far in the distance over the stadium. There's Brian James.
Again, Matt, that's wonderful play from Malik Johnson, but TFC2 just need to get him a little bit higher up the pitch where his little bit of skill or magic can really hurt Rochester Rhinos. I think Rochester will be happy Malik picking the ball up on the halfway line like that.
There's Daniels. Played out for a Toronto throw. Always enjoy having Rochester in town. Bob Lilly, one of the most vocal coaches on the sidelines. And always hear him yelling out instructions to his players. So he's just down to our left. Telfer and James come together. And Telfer whistled for the foul there against Forbes.
real experienced team, Rochester. 2015, they won the USL Championships. Last year went out in the quarterfinals to the New York Red Bulls on penalties. Rochester is actually the only non-MLS team to win the US Open Cup in 1999. Their goalkeeper, Canadian Pat Onstad, I don't know if you remember him, went on to have a very good career in the MLS. A club with tons and tons of history, Rochester Rhinos.
He's done. Aubrey. Monconi. Johnson.
Just needs to check his shoulder. Malik Johnson there. He was in a lot of space. He didn't need to take a touch back and then turn. If he could take that in one, all of a sudden he's at the back three.
Johnson pushes forward, trying to pick out Hundo. Taken down by Farrell, wins the free kick from just outside the 18-yard box, and this will be a good opportunity for Toronto.
Great turn from Malik Johnson in the middle of the park. This is better. This is him getting the ball higher up the pitch. The Jamaican international forward just tries to cheat a little bit. Read that he was going to turn inside. Malik Johnson with the outside of his right foot just rolls Forbes. All of a sudden he's at the back three and Farrell steps out. Malik Johnson's just too quick for him, beats him to the ball. Easy decision for the referee, Vaughn.
Alexis Vaughn is our referee tonight. Stephanie Fortin on the line on the near side. Sean Hornsby on the far side. And Fabrizio Stasola is our fourth official tonight. And no Subasa Endo, no Luca Uccello, the normal set-piece takers for Toronto. Daniels and Telfer standing over it.
Endo getting the weekend off. Just a little bit of a breather. TFC2 have been spoilt by his service in recent weeks.
Daniels curls it around the wall, but right into the arms of goalkeeper Gomez.
Never really testing Gomez there. Not enough pace on it. Thought he might have been better just bending it into that back corner, allowing some of the defenders and John to really attack it. John's so good in the air, the Trinidadian who's come off the bench.
Ryan James runs onto that with a head of speed. Works into the area, working against Telfer. Crossed over. And it's gone out for a corner.
Telfer just needs a little bit of protection there from Monconi. He's 1v1 against James. It's just a touch hesitant to go and really try to block that cross. Allows James enough room and time to whip a ball in. Instead of whipping it in, he just drives it across the 6-yard box. Could have gone anywhere. Just takes a slight deflection out for a Rochester Rhino corner. If Monconi's not going to come give him a little bit of protection in a double team, he needs to talk to him, show him either way.
Boucher sends it in. Ryan Felix there with the header, but it's out for the goal kick.
Telfer does just enough on the back post to put him off. Felix complaining he was the meat of the sandwich there a little bit. I thought he had his arms all over Johnson. That's why Vaughn gives a free kick. Cavalluzzo could just put another 5 or 6 yards on it. He could be picking out John.
Here's Brian James. Johnson. Back for James. Aubrey.
Great ball between the lines from Dunn. Just a little bit careless from Hundo. Thought Brian James was going to step into the space. James holds his spot just on different pages there, but great ball from the academy product, Julian James, who's almost seamlessly made the transition up. He's just 17 years of age, Canadian Youth International, real athletic defender. I know the club, Toronto FC, have high hopes for him.
On Coney. Malik Johnson. Aubrey. Daniels. Tony. Telfer. Johnson. Trying to pick out Telfer. Intercepted, and now Forbes. Brown. Brown, the goal scorer, pushing forward, looking for another, and it's well off target. Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit nikesoccer.com.
It was a real bright start the first 15, 20 minutes from Rochester. Last 10 minutes or so, they just sat back a little bit, protecting their 1-0 lead. Just looking to hit TFC2 on the counter. Brown looks very dangerous. Forbes in transition. It's important that when TFC2 have good possession like that, that Brian James, he's always switched on, he's alert. He knows where the runners are. It's almost proactive defending. I don't think TFC2 were quite prepared for that bright start of high press from Rochester.
It's Farrell. James. The deflection off Telfer. And that's out for a goal kick.
Graf tries to do that first time. It got very good position. I think it was on Aubrey. For me, a number 9 there just needs to take the ball in, take a touch. If you feel any contact from Aubrey, Graf can go over. It's going to be a free kick. Strikers don't need to be flicking it around the corner. Just get good control of it. Allow your midfield to get up the park, make runs off of you. Be that focal point. Graf this year has made 19 appearances, 11 starts. He's got a pretty impressive strike rate of 6 goals.
Played in behind for Hundle. Gomez is off his line. It's blocked. Looked like it was handled. Toronto pleading for a handball. And it's cleared by the Rhinos.
Looked as though Farrell just fell back on it. Great pace from Hundle to beat the goalkeeper Gomez to it. Farrell just throws his body at it. Looks as though it's going to go underneath him. He lands on the ball. Might have touched his hand.
Brown trying to win the race on the far side, able to keep it in. Frees it up for Ryan Lee. This comes back to James. James left-footed strike. Cavalluzzo got a piece of it. It's off the bar, and it's out for a corner.
What a strike from the Mississauga native, James. I don't think Lee's looking to pick him out. Ryan James on his weaker left foot. What a strike that is. That ball's moving all over. It's knuckling towards Cavalluzzo, and Cavalluzzo sets himself, tips it over the bar. Might have even caught the crossbar. James doesn't even hesitate. With his right foot, he sets himself, and with his left foot, he sets himself. And what a strike that is. Look, there's no movement, there's no spin on the ball, which allows it to knuckle. Good challenge at the back post there from Elseth. Real athletic save from Cavalluzzo. Wonderful shot stopper.
Boucher out off of, I think it might have been Telfer, and it's another Rochester corner.
I think it was John actually back in helping out the center forward. It was nice cover from Brian James, just giving him a hand on Boucher. Boucher, actually a German youth international. Very good player. Spent his youth career at Bochum. Massive, massive Bundesliga club. Might have been a little bit more lightning there, Matt.
Yeah, it was just northwest of us. Oh, it looked a little bit closer than the last time I saw it. It rained for maybe 10 minutes, about 15 minutes prior to kickoff. But that stopped as the players were heading into the locker room following warm-up. And we've seen nothing since then.
Hundel's got to play closer to John there. There's 30 yards in between them. There's no way Hundel's going to pick up that second ball.
This might be a booking here for Onconi.
Goes right through Boucher, sorry. A little bit of frustration in that tackle, I think, from Onconi.
Doesn't look like it'll be a booking, but a stern lecture from Alexis Vaughn.
Yeah, he comes right through the back of him. Big Onconi. Gets a little bit of the ball there. Maybe that's why it's not a yellow.
Campbell for Farrell. Fault. Telfer.
Telfer does really well. Earn a goal kick for his side. Tracks James right back. But what a ball in behind from Fall. Just feels it into the corner. Great weight on it. Just on this turf, it'll always check. It'll hold up. Extremely slow playing service.
Right on goal from Boucher. Easily handled by Cavalluzzo.
Yeah, Boucher was just looking for James there. James was a little bit too deep. He wanted to go out wide to him. In the end, takes the shot on. Comfortable save for Cavalluzzo. Been one of TFC2's players of the season so far.
Farrell back for Gomez. Campbell. Gomez. Off the arm of Groff. Cleared by Onconi. Far side to Alseth. One back by Rochester. Fall trying to play that through. Good sliding block from Julian Dunn. There's Brian James. Telfer. John. Pass goes in between James and Daniels. And taken by Rochester.
John actually took it extremely well. His first touch in traffic was great. Just off balance a little bit. TFC2 just need to start connecting, but a little bit sloppy in possession in that middle third.
Groff. James cleared.
Looked like Rochester were going to be extremely quick in transition there. In the end, it's a little bit pragmatic. It comes out wide to James. Another great ball whipped to the near post. Aubrey just gets ahead of Graff.
Played near post and cleared by John. Rochester maintains, comes back to Boucher. It's off the leg of Telfer. Johnson, again, can't clear. Forbes not able to track it down, but it's a Rochester throw. And now Toronto's won the free kick.
Brave header there from Onconi. Boucher, he now gives him a little bit of his own medicine. Onconi beats him to it, and he knows he's going to take a knock for the team. Boucher just almost runs into him. No need from Boucher in that position. Onconi's in trouble. His back's to goal. Needless free kick for me from Boucher, in my opinion. Just stay on your feet there. Lets TFC2 out of jail.
Fall. Plays through, but runs on to Cavalluzzo.
I don't think Graf wanted it there. I think he was running in behind to try and stretch the back three to create space either for Brown or Boucher or Forbes underneath. Up top, Graf really works his socks off. A lot of unselfish running. Works hard too defensively, setting their press off.
Here's Brown. Cross in, looking for Graf, headed away. Comes down for Boucher. Plays for Forbes. Ryan James. Fall. There's James. One touch from Brown, looking for his second, and it's out for a goal kick. The USL is one of the most prominent second division professional leagues in the world, featuring some of the game's top talent and rising stars. Stay up to date with all the latest league news and information by visiting uslsoccer.com and follow them on Twitter at USL. It's one away by Allseth, trying to pick out Hundle on the right side, intercepted. Rochester player down in some discomfort, trying to work his way to his feet. That's Ryan Lee.
Yeah, he went into a tackle with Allseth. Not sure whether Allseth might have caught him or where he caught him. No malice in it from Allseth. Just I think it was more of a coming together.
So we'll get some attention from the athletic trainer. We'll take another look. And I think he might have just got his ankle twisted.
Yeah, it looks like he went over awkwardly on that ankle. We touched on it just a little bit earlier, this turf being extremely slow. It's also unforgiving on joints, and if you just get your studs caught a little bit in it, we've seen a couple of awkward falls over the seasons.
Might have been what ailed Icam Andrews this evening. Didn't exactly see what happened to him.
Yeah, I think that was more muscular. I think it was a hamstring, that one. But again, it's not easy changing surface. I know TFC2 train on grass up at the Kia training ground all week, and then coming to the turf here, it's not easy, especially on your hamstrings.
Telfer.
We used to train, I used to play for the Vancouver Whitecaps. We train all week on grass and go to play at either Empire or BC Place. And especially when you get a little bit older, it's really difficult changing surfaces. I think Brown was looking for Boucher to just run past him there or overlap him out wide. Boucher was having none of it. Just slowed down the attack a little bit.
It's James. Fall playing through for Graf.
Another good ball from Fall. Graf just wasn't on the same page. There's an acre for him to run into.
There's Ryan James, well defended by Onconi. Malik Johnson. Trying to work around Farrell, able to do so momentarily, and then Farrell wins it back.
I think Farrell catches him on the follow through. He wins the ball.
And now Johnson's down in discomfort.
Yeah, just left his studs on down the back of his leg. I don't think he meant to. It was a well-timed tackle. Just on his follow through, he catches Malik Johnson. Malik Johnson just needed a little bit of support. He's running down a bit of a blind alley. There's 2-3 Rochester players. If it's not on to run with it, sometimes you just need to put your foot on it and come out. He's got wonderful acceleration, Malik Johnson. Just gets past four, but Farrell steps up. You'll see here, Farrell with his right foot, he wins it. And just catches him a little bit of a scissor on the follow through.
Toronto's already been forced to replace one player due to injury. Icam Andrews It's replaced in the 10th minute by Ricardo John. 2 minutes of added time here at the end of the first half. There's Forbes. Brown. Felix. Lee. Boucher. It's blocked. Ryan James. Telfer. Trying to play into Johnson. It's broken up. Brown. For fault. Forbes. James. John. Daniels. Telfer. Johnson. Ryan James. Hundle. Hundle swarmed by green shirts, and he loses the ball. Aubrey plays back for Cavalluzzo. And there is the conclusion of the first half. Toronto not able to generate much offensive. Coming in for Ryan Lee. I believe Lee was the player who got some medical attention towards the end of that first half.
Yeah, that's right, Mike. Collision with Allseth. A lot of the times those awkward ones, just away from the player, or the ones where players do get injured, unfortunately. We wish him all the best, and hopefully it's not too bad.
Back underway here in the second half. What response does Toronto have? It should pass along. Canada in their friendly against Jamaica down at BMO Field tonight, up 2-0 in the second half.
Former TFC2 player Jay Chapman, he's just come into the game, and
there's Allseth with an opportunity. Looks like he might have stumbled over perhaps the ball, maybe his own feet. Definitely nothing malicious from the Rochester player there, and it's quickly gathered by Groff for Forbes.
Sorry, substitute Beresford times his tackle perfect on the pitch, 10 seconds. If he gets that wrong, that could have easily been a penalty. Yeah, just going back to the Canada game, beating Jamaica 2-0.
Not over yet.
With 10-15 minutes to go, and Toronto FC midfielder Jonathan Osorio, he scored the second goal.
Raheem Edwards got in as well tonight. Alfonso Davies did make it onto the pitch.
So St. Ricketts as well is there.
Apparently a pretty good crowd on hand too.
Yeah, important game for Canada to build on the progress of a very good Gold Cup.
That's right across the goal mouth, and that'll be out for a throw-in, I believe.
Yeah, it's sort of half shot, half cross there from Forbes. Just takes his time, probably takes too long. I think the cutback was on to Brown. Great through ball from Forbes. It just drifted out wide, got in behind Telfer. Almost has too much time to think about it. In the end, it's a cross shot and TFC2 escape.
I believe a couple of USL players were available for the Jamaican side this evening. I believe Romario Williams, who we didn't get to see from Charleston.
Yeah, on loan from Atlanta, big, strong center forward. Had a really good Gold Cup up top with Maddox, Portland Timbers player.
Scored the goal against Canada in that 1-0.
Thanks for bringing that up,
the
Matt.
Quarterfinal loss. It was 2-1 that game, 2-1. correcting myself, thought it was 1-0. Brian James playing that across for Brandon Onconi.
We'll leave the U.S. men's national team game last night.
Well, our friends in Rochester might not be so keen for us to dissect that one.
Close to home for them. Red Bull Arena, I don't think that's too far from Rochester.
There's Johnson. Johnson making a run, picking out Aiden Daniels. Daniels trying to get it to his left foot. Still attempting. Now over for Hundle. Hundle has it poked away. Comes to Telfer. Telfer with the cross. Ricardo John going up. And it'll be a goal kick.
Probably the best attack of the game from Toronto. I think Aiden Daniels might have been better to just keep the play moving, keep the play coming across the pitch, bring out wide to Alseth. In the end, he tries to cut back inside. Malik Johnson picking it up, extremely dangerous. Drifts past a couple of players like their pylons, eventually picks out Aiden Daniels. Aiden Daniels just needed to keep the play moving. Alseth was out wide. They created a nice little 2v1 on Beresford. But that's what Malik Johnson can do. Just glide past players. Again, he starts from too deep.
Brian Felix. Jalen Brown. Dispossessed by Alseth. Sends it over the head of Ricardo John, and it's run onto by Sergio Campbell.
Great reaction to a poor first half. Really on the front foot, Toronto FC.
Telfer crosses in. John James. That's blocked. Comes down for Alseth. And I think they whistled Alseth for the foul there.
Yeah, I think it's a foul on Beresford. There wasn't a whole bunch in it. I thought the referee, Vaughn, was going to give a corner kick. It's too bad Ricardo John set to Brian James. Just couldn't have been a little bit better. It's bouncing back to James. James tries to get his hips over top of it. John just needs to kill it so it's coming back onto the ground so James can really step onto it. John's been out for injury a little bit, just finding his rhythm.
Some frustration from both sides here, directed at the lineswoman.
Yeah,
There's a little bit of a delayed call on that throw-in.
Yeah, she was just taking a play off. She didn't want to put her flag up. It was blatant to see that the ball had gone out.
There was some complaint from Toronto that the Rochester player had moved too far forward on that throw.
A little bit of sarcasm from Wall, just asking if she's working tonight.
This comes down for Forbes. Forbes left-footed strike, takes a deflection. Cavalluzzo gathers it.
Malik Johnson's been excellent going forward. He just has to track his runner. Forbes runs off him. Good block from Onconi, just takes a sting out of the shot.
Beresford for fault. Wind's picked up a little bit here in the second half, but it does look like it's working in Toronto's favor. But not quite as severe as we've seen up here in games past. Groff for Boucher. Boucher works around on Coney, flips it up, and over the top of the goal, lands on top.
Real clever from Boucher, just tries to dink it over Cavalluzzo. Again, for me, Graff has to take 2 touches there. It's not the best layback to Boucher, but Boucher does extremely well. Takes a wide way around, just goes past on Kone, and then just tries to dink it over top of Cavalluzzo. I think Cavalluzzo had it covered. Real audacious attempt from Boucher.
Bit of a better start to the half for Toronto than what we saw an hour and a half ago.
Night and day from the start to the first half. I think Toronto FC were on the front foot. Have had a couple of half chances, really. It's important that they keep that momentum going. I think TFC2 play at their best when they play at a high tempo, when they're quick to free kicks, quick to throw-ins, keep that ball in play, keep passing that ball. Rochester Rhinos will be happy just to take the sting out of the game. I think some of their build-up play's been excellent. Their angles in midfield, grass movement up top's been good.
We mentioned just how stingy defensively they are. Well, the second fewest goals allowed in USL.
That's Bob Lilly team for you. Really well organized. And it's almost their platform to go and play forward from. Again, Toronto FC, they're trying to just overplay. Rochester doing a very good job of pressing extremely high. When that press is coming, there's got to be players open higher up the pitch.
There's Fall. Great move, still with it! And it's blocked by Julian Dunn.
Great play from the youngster Dunn. Doesn't give up on the play. Tracks right back. He's able to make an athletic sliding play to just prevent it being 2-0 for Rochester.
Malik Johnson with a great run forward there, but his last touch was just a little bit too heavy. And now Rochester again.
Another great play from Julian Dunn, stepping up, taking the ball off Fall. Fall looking a little bit leggy there after an impressive run just a little bit earlier.
See if we can get another look at the great chance from Wall Fall.
Fall, it's all Fall here. He picks up the ball, brushes past Aiden Daniels, little cheeky nutmeg on Aubrey, but Julian Dunn, he doesn't give up on the play. Throws his body on the line for the team to keep it 1-0.
Wall Fall picks up the ball. Sounds like quite the tongue twister. Or the start to a soccer nursery rhyme.
Love the composure on the nutmeg on Aubrey. Aubrey won't want to watch that in the video room on Monday. Fortunately, it's a long weekend. Maybe they won't have a video now.
Holiday Monday, so maybe video gets pushed to Tuesday.
Is it a holiday in the U.S.?
Yeah, they celebrate Labor Day as well. So long weekend all around. The one in August during the summer is the only one that we don't, mesh up on. I think they take it a week later. Sergio Camargo making his first appearance in a month. August 5th was his last game action, and he will spell Malik Johnson.
Yeah, Malik Johnson comes off. He looked really good going forward. He didn't give a whole bunch to the midfield three defensively, but very, very comfortable on the ball. Got a wonderful change of pace. He just glides with the ball, goes past players. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to do that closer to the Rochester goal. Camargo comes in, more of a two-way midfielder. Tons of energy. He's the type of player that makes other players around him better. Every time I've seen him play for TFC2, he's been excellent. Just struggled with injuries a little bit.
And we've seen him be a bit of a spark plug coming off the bench.
That's a wonderful way to describe him, Matt. He is a real spark plug and type of player players love to play with. Rarely he'll give the ball away. He'll give Brian James a hand defensively in midfield. Went through the academy of Toronto FC, spent a bit of time with KW United as well. Went away to university with Syracuse, has come back. And when I've seen him, as I said, he's been excellent, just struggled with injuries. Signed to a first-team contract as well.
Fans, stay up to date on the latest USL news and information from around the league. Tune into USL Coast to Coast with Mike Watts, Mondays at 9 p.m. Eastern on Sirius XM FC Channel 85. Also, don't forget Sirius XM FC will air the USL Game of the Week. Check uslsoccer.com for dates and times.
Rochester have had a ton of opportunities. Sometimes, Matt, when you don't punish a team and get that second goal, it just leaves the door open a little bit for Toronto FC, and they've shown great character in recent weeks. We touched on it, coming back from 2-0 down in Charlotte to win 3-2, and then the equalizer in the last minute against St. Louis on Wednesday night.
We mentioned, I'm not sure if we mentioned this during the broadcast on Wednesday or if it was off air, but in that game last weekend against Charlotte, the great save from Cavalluzzo when it was 2-0, that kept it at 2-0, and then it might have been after the sending off actually, but it kept it at 2-0 and allowed Toronto to mount that comeback. And so I put a little star, 55th minute, with the Julian Dunn block and the chance for wall fall to see if that could be a turning point for Toronto and just a point to look back on. Very well could have been 2-0. Here's Alseth. They've been having some success down that right side here in the second half, but poor ball played in by Camargo.
Yeah, Camargo was fired at him a little bit too quickly. Just needed to take a touch there.
And Gruff speeds by Aubrey. Shot is right at Cavalluzzo, who quickly will roll it out and allow Brandon Aubrey to push forward. But Johan Graf just turned the corner on Brandon Aubrey there.
Yeah, what a change of pace, Matt. Aubrey tries to step and win it. All of a sudden, Graf's got a chance to get in, and his acceleration was really impressive. For me, just shoots it a little bit too early. Could have taken another touch. He tries to just open his hips up and bend it into the far corner, almost a little bit like Thierry Henry. In the end, it's too central, and it's an easy save for Cavalluzzo.
Yeah, I thought that as well. It probably could have taken at least another 1 or 2 strides, if not more.
And once you come into the box there, you're very difficult to defend. Any touch there, it's a penalty.
Camargo crossed out for a corner. I believe this is the first corner of the night for TFC2. While we set that up, let's get another look at the speed of Johan Graf.
Camargo just a little bit disappointed there not to get his cross in. Great change of pace from him. It's a pretty straightforward ball. This is one Aubrey should deal with. He's just caught underneath it. Once Graf's in, there's no way Aubrey's catching him. And as we discussed, Matt, looks like he could have maybe taken another touch onto his left foot. Tries to take it on his favored right.
Swung in by Telfer, and Gomez goes up and snares it out of the air.
It's great when the goalkeeper comes out and claims it, takes the pressure off of the defenders there. He's a former US U20 international goalkeeper, Gomez.
He has been excellent this season. This is his 19th appearance. He's got 8 of Rochester's 10 clean sheets.
In 2015, he was drafted by Columbus, wasn't signed, ended up joining San Jose. Earthquakes never played for them in the MLS. After being released, he's been with Rochester since 2016.
You mentioned it, Terry. You notice a much better pace to the game being played by Toronto.
Yeah, I think they've stepped up in the second half. There's been a reaction, and then they've matched what Rochester brought, that energy.
Brandon Onconi not happy with that call. He was yelling at the official. And I think Brian James stepping in as the captain. Good move here to try and diffuse the situation, but Onconi going to get a talking to anyway. And the referee will have the free kick reset here.
But that's better from Onconi. At least there's a little bit of fight. In the first half, I feel like he would have just committed the foul and just walked back into his position. We spoke about it in our open, 5 changes today. A lot of experience went out of the team for TFC2. Spencer, Endo, Hamilton, Morgan. I think they've been missed a little bit tonight as well.
It's the challenge of a 3rd game in 8 nights.
Yeah, a little bit of that, and Jason Benz is given orders from up top that a couple of players need to play. Players are coming back from injury, and possibly that's why it's looked a little bit disjointed going forward at times.
Two of the 3 substitutions used already, and we mentioned some other players coming back from injury who are candidates to see time as the 3rd substitute. Lars Eckenrode and Luca Uccello are still available, as is Jordan McCrary. But I'm not sure we'll see McCrary tonight. There's Ryan James down the right side, and he hammers it off the side of the goal.
Great ball there from Boucher. Good vision. Telfer again, just caught flat-footed, too square. He needs to be connected to Onconi. Ryan James tries to beat Cavalluzzo at the near post. He has to go across the keeper there, so then anything spilt is into the, gives their attackers a chance on a rebound.
Poor pass there, finds Forbes right in the middle of the pitch. Will play it out wide for Boucher. He has to run to keep it in. Now works into the area. Trying to find Forbes. Rolls instead to Beresford. Down for Forbes. Again out for Beresford. Beresford's cross in. No one home for Rochester. And Ryan Telfer will collect.
Yeah, I think at 0-0 in the first half, James might have stayed high up the pitch, just protecting their 1-0 lead a little bit, just drops back. Give a little bit of cover. I think it's Farrell who he's giving a hand, just double teaming Telfer, just wary of TFC on the counter.
Aubrey plays that out.
I like that from Aubrey. No nonsense, being safe, putting it out. But you're 1-0 down. You're at home. You're fighting and scrapping for points. Maybe there, just take a little bit of a chance. Take a touch. Go back to Cavalluzzo.
There's fault. Working against Daniels. Quick interplay. Comes into the middle for Brown. Brown pushing forward. He's met there by Alseth.
Brian James just needs to check his shoulders. Caught ball watching a little bit there. Forbes had just pulled off his shoulder. There has to be a connect with him and TFC2's back three.
Camargo. Up the side, looking to find Hundle. Instead, taken by Rochester. James on Coney. Aubrey. Done.
See, when Rochester's set like this, man, it's important that TFC to move that ball quickly. 1 and 2 touches. Try to shift Rochester out of their blocks. Try to create a bit of space.
Hundle surrounded by 5 Rochester players there. Was able to free it up for a moment, but now the Rhinos have it back. Their captain, Canardo Forbes.
Brian James, he tried to make up for his mistake, and I love his enthusiasm to go repress, but just needed to let that go. Now all of a sudden there's gaps everywhere in midfield.
On Coney with a hard challenge in there on Boucher.
Those two have been going at it all game.
Felix Campbell.
Was it last season, Matt? TFC2 and Rochester met, and I think Rochester had a 1 or 2-0 lead at halftime, and TFC clawed it back, and I think Drew in the end got a point. Bob Lilly kept his team in the changing room for about 2 hours after the game.
I don't remember for sure. That does ring a bell, though.
Camargo lucky not to pick up a yellow there. Just stops the attack. Good skill from Fall, just to use his body to roll Camargo.
Substitution for Toronto FC 2 in the 67th minute. Coming into the match, number 35, Lars Eckenroe. Subbing out of the match, number 77, Brandon Onconi.
Here we see Beresford, a little bit of clever play from him. I don't know if Brown's aware of it. Alseth tries to get there. I like that. Let's be a little bit creative.
So the third change for Toronto in the 68th minute. It's Lars Eckenrode coming in for Brandon Onconi. I was just checking the TFC2 schedule from last year. In the 2 games here at Toronto, it was a 2-1 win for Toronto. Toronto scored in the, I believe, 77th minute. And then again in the 90th minute, Rochester scored in stoppage time, finished 2-1. The other game was a 1-1 draw.
That was the one.
Not sure the order of the goals in that one.
The 1-1 draw, that was it.
There's Groff looking for Brown. Well defended by Dunn. And now Alseth. So we're about 22 minutes to go. Camargo not able to link up with Ricardo John. So with 21.5 minutes to go, Jason Bentz has used all 3 of his substitutions. One out of the necessity of injury back in the 10th minute. The other 2, Camargo for Johnson, Eckenrode for Onconi. And good to see Lars Eckenrode back on the pitch. First game action since April 1st.
Great, guys. Worked so hard off the pitch, in the gym.
Nearly 5 months to the day of that injury.
Yeah, it was Tampa, the 3rd game of the season, 2nd or 3rd game, picked up what looked an innocuous, and it didn't look like there was much in it, and he ends up, I think, fracturing his ankle or his leg. Hopefully he can put together a run of games here. 6 games left to the end of the season.
And Sean Humdall, I think, complaining he wanted the referee just to call advantage there, as he had the ball in a good position to push forward. Now Rochester has a chance to defend.
Yeah, I think he's got a point there. It looked like he rolled the defender extremely well. He'd broken the lines. Vaughn just a little bit too quick on her whistle there.
She's one of those referees very particular about where the free kick is taken from.
As a player, that drives you nuts. You just want to get on with it. Overall, though, I think she's had a good game. I think it's been an easy game to ref so far. Hasn't really had any contentious decisions.
Yeah, I'd agree. We normally see her as the 4th official here, and have on occasion seen her as the head referee. Camargo, James, Dunn, James, Camargo. Trying to pick out Ricardo John, well defended.
Just a little bit
by
too,
Felix.
A little bit too predictable. Good ball movement to create that opportunity from TFC2. That's better. 1 and 2 touch.
And Brown not able to run over and keep that in. Alseth. James. Alseth. Into the feet of Beresford. And that's going to stay in, or is it? Nope.
Looked as though it stayed,
says out.
Yeah, it looked as though it stayed in for me. Real tough tackle, both Beresford and Julian Dunn going in for it.
There's Brian James. Brian James. Daniels. Camargo. Takes a deflection. Comes down for Hundal.
Bit of a sore one there for Telfer. Just ricocheted off his face. Vaughn does the right thing to stop it. Any head injury, you have to stop it. You can't take any chances. Saw a bank of 4 and a back of 5 there for Rochester Rhinos. TFC2 just struggling to break that down. Working extremely hard off the ball, Rochester. Here we're going to see a replay of the ricochet. Telfer takes off his right in the mush.
Ooh. Like it might have got him near the eye.
See the physio Andy coming on. He tells me he's the fastest physio in the land, Matt. He can run the 100 meters. He tells me, I've not seen it, in 10.9 seconds. That's pretty impressive, isn't it?
Definitely competition with the other physios, though.
Maybe Jason Bent should put him on up front for a little bit.
Well, the speed couldn't hurt. Telfer looks like he's going to be all right. Just stings a bit. I imagine that might swell up a little bit, though. And he should be good to return once he's allowed to. Rochester.
He's one player, though. So I was just going to say, Matt, just on Telfer, he's one player that can definitely be happy with his seasons and his progress that he's made coming in from York University. Really worked hard on trial to get this opportunity. Probably wasn't planned to play as many minutes as he had. Came in as a number 9, and I think he's really adapted to the 3-5-2 system out wide today. Probably hasn't, tonight's not been his best game. He's been caught in behind a little bit, but really works hard, and he definitely has some tools that you can work with, and hopefully, possibly next season, can develop and look to push on.
Whether they intended him to play this much or not, he's played the second most minutes on the team, only behind Brian James. And the two of them will both put in a full 90 here tonight.
That's one position for the squad where there's not a whole bunch of depth. Jonathan Osorio's brother, Osorio, he's been out with an injury for most of the season. He hasn't played Anthony Osorio a whole bunch of football. So he's really made that left wing back position his own.
I believe we've only seen him here once this season. I don't remember which game it was, but picked up the red card about 45 seconds after being subbed on.
That's right, yeah, good memory. Real rash tackle, no need for it.
Jason Bent was not happy with that when I spoke to him after that game. There's Ricardo John, trying to pull it away. And he's won the free kick.
Not the cleanest passage of play. Real tenacious play from Ricardo John. His touch has looked a little bit off tonight. Last time I saw him play, that would stick. He'd use his body to hold off defenders. He's just chasing his first touch a little bit tonight. But these will be important minutes for him coming back from injury. I really like him. I think he's got a ton of attributes. Almost an old-fashioned number 9. Likes to run in behind, great at getting the end of crosses.
Mike Garzi coming on for the Rhinos. He'll be taking the place of Julian Boucher.
I thought Boucher had an excellent night, possibly one of the best players on the pitch.
2 goals in 18 appearances for Garzi this season.
He's been with Rochester since 2017. In 2016 was appointed club captain. Actually, he's part of the team in 2015 that won the championship. That year, he was also awarded an award for just get there about this award in a second. For community service, won the community service award in the USL, Matt. It's great to see players working hard, not only on the pitch but off it. Being a professional footballer is an incredible platform to go and help other people.
Dunn whistled there. A little aggressive on Jalen Brown. Down inside the final quarter of an hour. Beresford. Deflection off James. Daniels. Comes to James, well taken. Plays in for John. Olseth.
That's better from Ricardo, John. Had checked his shoulder before it came into him. He knew where the space was, takes a good touch, keeps his team in possession.
Olseth trying to find Camargo, gives it away.
When you go square, you have to be 100%. A little bit uncharacteristic from Olseth. Very rarely do you see him give the ball away. Julian Dunn at the back. He's quietly had a very good game. Good defending there on Brown.
Forbes. Looking to pick out Groff. Cavalluzzo steps up to snare it first. Now James.
Important interception from Cavalluzzo. What a great starting point. He's on the edge of his 6-yard box. He reads that play. He's not had a ton of action in the second half. It's important mentally. He's engaged. Big, strong, loud shout from him comes out and claims it. It was a great ball in. I think it was from Forbes, just trying to pick out Graff in the box. He angled his run into the box. Excellent. Just drifted off the shoulder of one of the Toronto FC defenders.
Telfair unable to maintain that. Rochester looking to win back-to-back games for just the 3rd time this season. A little bit surprising for a team with 10 wins. Only won on back-to-backs twice.
Currently 5th. We touched on it in our pregame show, Matt. I think they'll be trying to push to get into the top 4 of the conference to get that home field advantage. Their team in very good form. Only lost twice since the 5th of August in 10 games. And their 2 losses came to an 83rd minute winner from Charleston 2 weeks ago and against the New York Red Bulls where they went down to 9 men. Forbes was one of the players that got sent off.
Here's Olseth. They've got an opportunity. They're level with Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay lost 4-2 to the New York Red Bulls earlier today. So an opportunity for Rochester to slip up into that top 4.
Come on, Jalen.
Soccer fans, Nike is an official sponsor of the USL. For more information, visit NikeSoccer.com.
Substitution for Rochester in the 81st minute. Coming into the match, number 10, Sofiane Tursaw. Subbing out of the match, number 22, Jalen Brown.
Jalen Brown coming out. Sofiane Turgu coming on.
Brown gets his first goal in 8 starts this season. Thought he ran himself into the ground. Looked extremely lively in the first half. Him and Lee had a wonderful partnership down the left-hand side. Just looked a little bit leggy in the second half. He can be happy with his performance. This year he was drafted 38th overall by New York City FC. Wasn't signed, ended up signing obviously with Rochester Rhinos.
Just one final note on the standings. Rochester can actually pull into a tie with Charleston, who lost 1-0 to Louisville earlier. They would both be level on 41 points, and with a game in hand, Rochester, or 2 games in hand rather, Rochester could actually jump up all the way to 3rd place with 3 points tonight. So a big, big game in the Eastern Conference playoff picture. And they're gonna try and ride home the final 8 minutes of this one, plus whatever time is added on.
Yeah, great opportunity. The results look as though they're going to go their way for them. Still a lot of football to go tonight, but Don't know whether TFC2 have just looked a little bit tired, their third game, and as you say, Matt, in the week. But this Tampa looked very good. Tampa Bay Rowdies when they came to town earlier in the season, but I think the Rochester Rhinos tonight have looked the best team to come up to Canada so far this season. Been very impressed with how disciplined they've been defensively. You can definitely see the discrepancies of their high press or when they drop back and are difficult to break down, and then when they win the ball, their interplay in midfield, their movement's been excellent, and I think up top Graf has really worked his socks off.
Back for Cavalluzzo.
See, Lars,
they've really given Toronto nothing to work with.
But Toronto FC, they need to realize that the press is coming, and Lars, I know he's just come back from a long injury, long layoff. He gives almost a grenade to Telfer. Lars just needs to see the high press coming and play it into Ricardo John or Sean Hundle. Both these players can hold the ball up. By playing sort of square, again, it allows Rochester really to lock on to Telfer, and Telfer all of a sudden now he has no options.
James.
Rochester, they're playing a little bit similar to how Toronto FC's first team play, where when it's on the wing backs, Morrow and now Hassler press extremely high and pin teams in, but when it's not on to press it, they're very well disciplined, as we see right now, where they drop back into their blocks, and there's a nice balance, and they shift together as a unit.
Out for a Rochester throw. Corner here for Toronto. Looks like it's James that will size it up. They've not had a lot of success or threatening opportunities from the set pieces, and that one again snared by Gomez. I think that's just their second corner of the evening. Really just one free kick in a good spot, that taken by Daniels back in the first half, and all three have fallen comfortably into the hands of the goalkeeper, Tomas Gomez. Under 5 minutes to go here. Rochester, a goal all the way back in the 10th minute. It was Jalen Brown.
Plays almost a 1-2 off the post and then sticks it away, but I love the ball from Ryan James. Whipped into that near post space, and if you run across the near post as an attacker, stuff happens, whether it's creating space for others or just beating defenders to it.
Terry, hear me out. Knew Cavalluzzo was going to make the save, so intentionally off the post right back to... No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Comes free to Camargo. He's not able to handle cleanly. Garzi for Forbes. Fall.
Just needs a little bit more urgency. You're at home, 1-0 down. Go put some pressure on the ball.
Forbes. Stolen away by Alseth.
But that urgency can't come from one player. You need to go hunt that ball in twos and threes and work collectively.
Yeah, Rochester consistently outmanning Toronto on the ball. Been very impressive the season they've been able to put together, losing their two top goal scorers from last season. We probably talked about this the last time they were here. Steven Dos Santos, who's now in Ottawa, and Christian Valesky, who we saw on Wednesday with St. Louis, were instrumental in their attack the last 2 seasons.
Yeah, 2 very good USL players. Dos Santos, big, strong, tall target man that's actually quite mobile, and Valesky, excellent player. His movement's very good. I call him the Jamie Vardy of the USL, always looking to run in behind.
Scored a goal here on Wednesday.
But as I've said a couple of times, I've been impressed with Graf up top, not only with his threat in behind, but his work rate for the team. Here we see him again tracking back.
Daniels for Eckenrode. Toronto's going to have to start applying the pressure here. Just 2 minutes to go. And no late game substitute available this time around, as Jason Bent used all 3 within the first 70 minutes. On Wednesday, he had the luxury of bringing on Sean Hundle right around this time, 88th minute. And Hundle scored in the 92nd. Hundle's been on the pitch for the full 90 tonight. He's struggled to create opportunities, though.
Yeah, he's worked extremely hard up top, Hundle. Just not had a ton of joy. He's not had great service, in all honesty.
We've mentioned a very tight defensive structure from this Rochester side.
They've almost cut out the service too, Hundle, but by stopping that initial pass that Toronto FC have, trying to get that ball into Hundle. And when TFC2 have got into good areas, some of their passing's just been a little bit uncharacteristically sloppy.
Just not able to win any of those loose balls. And here's Forbes.
Fall's done a great job in the middle of the park, just breaking things up, picking second balls up, and he's got a little bit of quality. He's got a nice passing range where when he does win the ball, he keeps Rochester ticking over.
Even there, Forbes 1v2, and somehow Rochester still comes away with it. There's Groff, will just carry it towards the corner flag.
Yeah, there's just...
Is in for Turgu.
The 4th official has indicated
3 minutes of added time.
3 minutes of added time to the second half.
One positive from the game tonight, though, is it's brilliant to see 5 academy graduates out on the pitch for Toronto FC. They'll definitely have learned a ton from the experience of playing against some very good Rochester players. Jason Bent will have learned a lot of, not only about how good they are, but their characters and which players have not been overawed and stepped up. And one player that's really stood out for me tonight is Julian Dunn at the back.
And Wallfall will get issued a yellow card here.
Unnecessary free kick. Just needs to stand up in that position, gives TFC2 an opportunity to put the ball into the box.
And that's actually a Fall was on a yellow card accumulation warning heading into tonight, so he will be suspended for their game next Saturday when they host Ottawa. That takes a deflection, out for a corner.
It just goes off Beresford. Just lost his bearings a little bit. Bob Lilly will be disappointed with that booking. I can see him shaking his head now. I think Fall gets the yellow for talking back.
I think you're right. Not a good delivery there from James, but it comes out for Daniels. James will loft it in again. It comes loose. Oh, what a glorious opportunity.
Gomez's handling all night's been excellent. Drops it, falls to Aubrey. Just runs away from him a little bit. You're thinking he just needs to just touch it into the open net.
It was right there for him.
It's going to come from the second phase. Aiden Daniels picks it out, goes back to Allsep. It's a nicely ripped ball in. Just falls in his lap, goes off his thigh, and his touch just runs away from him.
If he could have just let it fall right onto his boot, it would have been a tap-in and another stoppage time equalizer for Toronto. That's close.
That's what happens when you don't score that second goal and really punish teams. I like that from Gomez, sticks his hand up in the air, my mistake, individual error.
And his handling has been so sure all night, grabbing the
Couple
corners.
of corners, yeah.
There's a full-time whistle.